I just bought this 2011 Mustang GT as I showed you in the last video. And now in this video, I'm saying that although this is the fastest car that I've ever owned by a decent amount, that might not be as important as you think. And maybe not for the reasons that you think. Small side note, you guys saw my dog in the last video. Well, I actually got another dog just recently. Callie, come here. She is a 5-month-old blue-nosed pit. And she is absolutely adorable, aren't you, baby girl? She says hi. She does have a little scratch on her face, but it's okay. She's fine. So yes, this is our new puppy, Callie, and her and my other dog, Caden, are great friends, and they are doing super well so far. You'll probably see more of her going forward. Isn't that right? But historically, these videos have had me going and getting coffee in my car. We haven't done that for quite a while. However, I now live a lot closer to one of my most favorite coffee shops in the world. So let's go take a drive and let's talk. Let's get in. Got that ambient lighting set to red because I got bored last time I was on the road for a while. I really wish it was a little bit warmer today because I love driving this thing with the windows down, but I don't like doing that. Also, this is the one issue I consistently have with this car is the weird Mustang window short drop issue where for me it's not that I need to reset it. I've done that like 150 times, but it just doesn't always work. So whether that's an issue with the window motor or the window regulator or the door latch sensor, I don't know, but we'll figure it out eventually. That time it did go up, so I guess I can't complain that much. Well, let's go. It's been too long since I've done one of these. Let's not go too crazy. We're in town. But man, I really love this car, and I have to tell you, the feeling of acceleration is pretty addictive with this thing. I will say, I said before that this car rides really, really bad, and when I say it rides really bad, I mean this is not a great road, but oh, it is like I'm driving an unloaded dump truck down the interstate at 80 miles an hour. It is really, really rough. It needs some new suspension pretty badly. So this coffee shop we're driving to is called Milltown, and if you live in the Quad City area, it is a really, really cool coffee shop. The interior is really awesome. I'm not gonna bring the camera in there just out of respect. I don't like doing that if I don't have to. But I will show you guys some pictures, and their coffee is really, really good as well. So I love going there now that I'm actually semi-close to it. I used to live, you know, quite a ways away for a minute there, and now we're a lot closer. So I'm super pumped about that because I absolutely love this place. I'm actually really close to a lot of really good coffee shops now. I live in a little bit more of an urban area than I used to, but that's a good thing because it means that I'm a lot closer to stuff than I was previously. Well, we have arrived at our destination, and I have to say, as someone who has never owned a muscle car, especially a Mustang, and never really gave it a lot of thought until recently, you owe it to yourself to try out lots of different platforms and lots of different genres, I guess you could say, of cars, because otherwise you're just not experiencing cars to the full. Because I loved my Subarus, I loved my 350Z and everything, and you know, those were great cars. I miss them sometimes, but I also really love this car, and it's a totally different feel than either of those, and it's not something I would have expected I was going to buy, but is something that I'm glad that I did because it's a lot of fun. And although I would love to own cars like that in the future, and I'd love to own some other, you know, I guess you could say, fancier European cars or whatever. I mean, it might be. Like I said, you owe it to yourself to try out different platforms and things like that. If you find yourself getting a little bit bored of your car and you're in a spot where you can try out something else, hey, why don't you? It can be a lot of fun. However, one thing that I don't think is mentioned nearly enough in modern culture is being content. There's this whole philosophy that's like, never be content with what you have, always strive for the next thing. And although that's a good motivator, and I think that it's good to work hard and to be motivated to accomplish things, being content with what you have is really important if you want to be a happy person. Or literally, no matter where you are in your life, you are always going to strive for another thing and never be able to quite enjoy what you have enough. If I just bought this Mustang GT, I could be striving for a GT 500. I could be striving for an S550 GT 350, something like that. But right now, I'm just really happy with this car. And at the moment, I'm excited to do everything I can and explore every aspect of owning this car. And I think that is also really important. Trying out new stuff is fun, but don't discount what you own just because when comparing it to what other people might have, you don't feel like it's as cool or you don't feel like it's as fun or whatever. That's your car. You should be proud of it and you should enjoy it to the fullest. Back in the car, already finished my coffee, got a bagel melt. I have no self-control with beverages, so I just drank this immediately. But again, like I said, I don't know why the camera's focusing over there. Milltown Coffee, so freaking good. I love this place. And one other thing that I really like about it, it is right by the Mississippi River over there. So on the other side of that river is Iowa from me. And it is just absolutely beautiful out here during, especially like the fall when all these leaves are changing, and it's just such a nice place to be. But I think it's about time that we get back home and we talk a little bit about the title of this video. I found a new filming location and I absolutely love it. Let me just tell you, because there's so much cool buildings in history right around here. I'm on top of a parking garage, if you can't tell. And this is the perfect spot, in my opinion, and I cannot wait to continue doing some videos here. So let's talk a little bit about why you shouldn't be as concerned as you might think about the speed of your car. Like I mentioned in the intro, this is my 2011 Mustang, and it is bar none the fastest car that I've ever owned. It has almost double the power of the last car that I owned, which I wouldn't say was a particularly super slow car, not very fast, but still I find myself thinking, it's not that different. Now, what do I mean when I say that? Because obviously this car stock has 412 horsepower. This one has long tube headers, full exhaust, and an intake. It's not tuned, but I would assume we could probably expect it has a little bit more than that. And don't get me wrong, it is definitely faster. But is it that much faster? Statistically, yes. This is a much faster car than my WRX that I used to own was. It's a much faster car than my 350Z that I used to own was. And yet, it doesn't feel as much faster as you might think. Contrary to popular belief, not every car has the same exact feel per horsepower that you might expect. Now obviously we understand that being lightweight has a huge effect on speed overall. You put this 400 horsepower into something small like a Miata or a Lotus Elise or something like that, it's gonna feel super fast. You put this 400 horsepower into a 3/4 ton truck, it's probably gonna feel a little sluggish. And in this car, it is certainly fast. It is not slow. It's 0 to 60 in the 4-second range. It has an unlimited top speed of like 170 if I'm not mistaken. And yet in my experience, this car feels faster, yes. But mostly what ends up happening to me is I accelerate and I think, that felt pretty quick. And then I look down and I think, holy crap, that is way higher speed than I thought I was at. So the reason why I'm saying this is if you expect that you're gonna buy a 400 horsepower car after owning a 200 horsepower car and it's gonna feel literally twice as fast, maybe, but it very well might not. But what you probably will find is when you look down after a pull expecting to be going 60, you're actually going to be going like 95. And for me, that's really the biggest difference. If you take the peak pull of my WRX and the peak pull of the Mustang is definitely more, but they're closer than you might have expected. But the biggest difference is that when I look down in the WRX and would expect to be going 70, 80, I'm going like 110 in this car. Allegedly, because I would never actually do that on the road, of course. But I say this mostly not to convince you not to get a faster car, because don't get me wrong, this car is absolutely more fun to do pulls in than my WRX was. But that doesn't mean that pulls were not fun to do in my WRX. They absolutely were. Pulls were fun to do in the 95 Impreza Coupe that I had that had probably 82 horsepower at the crank left. And it was so incredibly slow, but wringing out the car was so much fun. So if you have a car that you don't feel like is as fast as you want it to be, well, I'm making this video mostly to say, hang on, tide yourself over, and don't make a rash decision buying a car that you might not like as much just because it's faster. And also consider what you're actually able to do on the road, because the WRX, reasonably, could actually be more fun on the road than this is if you think about sticking to the speed limit. It might sound like more fun, but getting to the speed limit that quick compared to a little bit slower and a little bit more time wringing the car out is more fun in some ways, but in some ways it's actually the opposite. So if you have a BRZ or a Miata or a Civic Si or a GTI or whatever it might be, and you wish that it was a little bit faster, sit back and enjoy how the car is right now, and really think about how fortunate you are to be able to have a car that is as fun as it is. It might not be a Mustang, but guess what? This Mustang isn't a Lamborghini. If you have a Lamborghini, that's not a Koenigsegg. You can always be unhappy with what you have and wish you had the next fastest thing. But honestly, this video mostly exists to say, enjoy what you have. This has been something that I've been pushing really hard on my channel recently. I had the video that was love whatever car you have, even if it's your first car and it's something that you don't think is cool and is maybe not widely considered to be that cool, enjoy it. It's your car. You should be enjoying it. You should love the fact that you have a car in general. And for me, I love my Mustang. My Mustang could be faster. I could supercharge it. This car could make 650 wheel horsepower really, really easily. But right now, I'm just gonna enjoy it as it is. And I'd encourage you to do the same thing. And hey, remember, upgrades are always available in the future. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you are ready for more fun car content, because there will certainly be more to come. I will see you guys later. But not really, because we got to do a rev.